this episode 80? Josiah, is this episode 80?
He probably doesn't know.
I think this is episode 80, bro.
Well, it's good to be back on episode 80.
Yeah, man.
Well,
if it's not, then we're gonna look like a stupid man.
We'll just put 79 and cross it out.
Yeah,
Put 80.
Welcome back to the pod, guys. We got Brandon is back.
Yo,
He was gone, left us.
man, it feels good to be where John
man.
sat. Like, I don't know why. I just feel like whatever Holy Spirit he left here was ready for me when I got here. So this is nice. This is real nice.
There's an inside joke about John that I'm thinking about right now that you created. You took a picture of him from behind and you called it. So I'm not even gonna say that. But yeah,
John,
so,
you know what we're talking
yeah,
about.
you know exactly what we're talking about, John. So we have a cool episode, I think.
I love it.
The title of this episode is called Explicitly Christian.
Man, Jesus freaks, where y'all at?
Yeah, man. So we got a lot of notes here. This was sparked by a 10-minute clip from an interview with Andy Mineo, who is dropping an album tonight at 9 o'clock. I cannot wait. Neverland 2.
That's gonna be wild.
Just so you guys know where I stand, I am a huge Andy Mineo fan. So if you don't like him, too bad. I do.
He's not Christian enough for me, man.
Get out of
He didn't say Jesus 18 times on his album, and I just feel like she could have done better. He could have lifted the Lord a little higher.
Lord Jesus. So this is an episode about, not really just about Andy Mineo, but it's really about like Christians and our connection or lack thereof to culture, and especially like hip hop culture.
Oh yeah.
We've always struggled with that. There's been this
gaps for years.
The history of hip hop and Christianity is just like
it just
crazy.
didn't mesh well. And it's the crazy thing, like it didn't mesh well for a long time, and now I feel like it's meshing too well.
You think so?
Well, I just feel like a lot of cultures in church now where it's like more hip hop culture or more pop culture in church than church culture in church. And I feel like
good point.
I feel like the culture's been more has come in like floods into the church, where church culture has been like still trickling out of the faucet into the world.
I feel like church culture, we haven't done a good enough job of creating a culture.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely.
Which is difficult to do. Let me not act like it's something we should have easily done. But the church historically in America is always late. Like, like we're always like, oh, what's popular and hidden in the culture? All right, let's make the Christian version of that. And
by the time we put it out,
everybody's
past it.
It's been old.
Folks is
right?
like, really, y'all? Oh. Y'all still doing the dab?
Okay,
y'all
dabbing for Jesus. Like,
bro, that's that. No, I feel like that's one of the things that we are just not very good at, like seeing and then addressing fully. And if I can be bold to say, I think it's because a lot of us are like scared. You don't want to get out there and say something about culture. You don't want to get out there and like jump onto something that's cultural and then just be wrong, or like be like, oh yeah, we can't really rock with this. You know, we went too soon. So then instead of going too soon, we just go late.
Well, yeah, I think the solution is to not go at all. Just make your own.
Oh yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Do your own thing. Like,
okay.
You know, and we really struggle with that. And I get it, because like the reason why you want to like see what's popping in culture is because we're trying to reach the culture. We're trying to reach people who aren't following Jesus, which is the right intention, but they're gonna see through like some cheesy, you know, knockoff version of whatever's popular.
Absolutely.
Right. Which is unfortunately what we've done for a long time, probably like the last 20 years.
Yeah, we always bite on culture to make church or Jesus popular. So like just talking about like sermon series being always like on something
the most
that's
popular movie or you know song,
bro.
or whatever.
Which is funny because like Matrix is coming out, and I'm like,
it's good. It's probably not gonna be.
I don't think I'm hopeful. I am very hopeful.
The trailer didn't give me a lot of hope.
It was it was whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited when it comes out. But I'm like, man, I just hope I hope the church doesn't go back to that whole mate. Bro, I promise you, it
Bro,
seemed
how
like
many sermon series were on the?
I was like, dude, if
Mineo
I
is
hear
Jesus.
like, and then some folks are like, oh, it's written by a Christian, or and I was like, fam,
Listen, they was getting it in the second movie.
I can't
Stop.
no. So Jesus out here getting it in with Mary Magdalene,
Yeah,
like
come on,
what?
bro.
Come on, y'all. Yeah. So I want us to have like a voice in the church. I want that voice to be creative. I want it to be cool. I want it to like the church isn't boring. And the crazy thing is like not even the Bible is boring. Jesus isn't boring. But like I think what we try to do makes it boring because we're trying to fluff it up for the world when it as it is good.
Yeah, I agree. I think so. The hard part too is that for a long time, hip hop specifically was very much like banned in church. Like at my old church, at a lot of churches I know, like you better not bring that hippity hop in here. Like it was just rap is the devil.
Yeah,
rap especially. And for so long,
crazy.
like
real.
I feel like the main guys that were pushing against that were like Reach Records, like Lecrae and everybody.
Yeah.
And that whole secular versus secular versus sacred battle, and there's like the God over money Bizzle camp, which is like you got to say Jesus 87 times in your song, and then you have to like basically the real argument is. Am I a Christian rapper or am I a rapper that's Christian?
Right. Which a lot of people were like, I don't understand the argument. And it just went on forever.
Yeah, it went on for too long. It went on
forever. And even the crazy thing, even before then, you had people like The Truth.
Yeah, Cross Movement.
Movement who were like, they were more evangelistic because where they entered hip hop as Christians.
Yes.
So I think what they did was the right thing, and I think what a lot of other people tried to do was to kind of like mix the culture rather than just like this is just how I rap. I rap about Jesus because he changed my life. So
yeah, but this was always my biggest issue with both sides. Like, why are you attacking each other? You are just two sides to the same coin.
Yeah.
Like, listen, we have one of our notes here: making Christian art, right? For the church versus from the church.
Yeah.
I feel like the Christian rappers were making music for Christians.
Yes.
Even though you ask them, they're like, no, man. I be trying to talk to non-believers. Like, okay, who's at your concerts? And where are your concerts?
Yeah.
At churches full of Christians.
Yep, at church events.
Which is nothing's wrong with that.
Not
That's
at all.
fine.
Somebody need to do it.
Yeah, just be honest about it was my thing. And then the rappers who were Christian were making music from the church to the world.
Yes.
Right? Both of them are necessary.
Totally.
We need both. So like, why are you guys fighting? That was always my biggest issue.
And it was crazy because one of my favorite artists back then was The Truth, because he was a person that was like, I make hip hop for the church. Like if you outside the church and you rock about music, like I appreciate you. But my music is for Christians. Yeah. Like if you're not a Christian, you're not gonna. I'll make a song or two that's like out there, like for the world to hear and enjoy. But like my music is like targeted to Christians to like help them like with their faith, their faith journey,
and give them something nice to listen to.
Yeah.
Like that was I remember like being a kid growing up and listening to different artists and being like, I need something that I can not feel guilty listening to.
Yeah. Oh, like the moments where you like get rid of all your secular music.
Right. So I remember I listened to people who were like, he could almost be Christian. I remember I still am a huge Lupe Fiasco fan.
Oh,
he's a Muslim.
Yeah.
But there was a point where he like never cussed, was saying like really positive stuff. I'm like, see, this is almost there. And any rapper that even mentioned God, I'm like, oh yeah. Yes. But then they'd be like, F it. I'm like,
oh, dang. Which is funny because like,
it's like DMX saying stuff. And I was like,
but it's crazy because like even as you get older, you look back and be like, I don't know. I can't judge their faith based on what they made in their art.
Yes. At the time, it was, And then Kanye dropped Jesus Walks. Yeah, that was like 2004. And I was like, see, guys, it can be cool.
Yeah, and then he just kind of.
And then, other things. But so then I remember I came to Christian hip hop. I didn't know it was a thing for the longest, not till college.
Really?
Till I missed so much.
That's
I came to
crazy.
everything super late, probably like 2014 when Lecrae dropped Anomaly. I had heard of Lecrae. I had never listened to any of his music. I'm like,
joking,
I was under the
bro.
impression that Christian rap is probably trash. It's corny. And my only experience with it, my mom was listening to gospel all the time. And there's this one song that she played. Had this guy she's like, oh, there's a rapper on here. I was like, oh, and she played it, and I was like,
was it like the Little Zane version of
awful
on that movie Fighting Temptations with Beyonce?
Bro, it was like 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? Like it was just that wasn't part of the song.
Oh,
but it might as well have been. Like that's how. And I was like, I never want to hear Christian rap ever again.
Oh,
if this is it,
if this is what it is,
right? And then I remember like
it ain't for me.
Ryan, our boy Ryan McClarty, friend of the pod, got me onto Bizzle, and I was like, all right, this dude is cool. Like, but I wasn't like a huge fan.
Yeah.
Like he can rap. Like you can't deny that this dude can rap. But I'm not really the beats and stuff. I'm like this. Isn't really
the production wasn't.
And then he did a remix with Lecrae, and I was like, this is Lecrae that everybody's talking about. I was like, whatever. And then I saw Lecrae perform on Jimmy Fallon. He did a song, and he did nothing from. And I was like,
dun dun.
This dude is Lecrae. And then I went and listened to the album, and I was like, I'm a fan,
bro.
And then my first concert was at Fresno Fair. Anomaly tour, and I was like, if this is Christian
That's
rap,
crazy. We went to the same concert. We didn't even know you were there.
Yeah, I was like, this is, and then I went down the rabbit hole, and then I learned all the history that I had missed, and I was like, this is stupid. Why are we fighting about this?
Yeah, it's sad. But I think one of the things that like why fights started out in hip hop or in music was, which is our first point, like. People were trying to get their theology from artists.
Come on.
Like they were trying to like go to them as like preachers.
As like pastors.
As pastors.
Like
and like
Christian rappers were basically our pastors.
Like, well, you got the platform, so you got to use it for Jesus. And that's like, and a part of me was like, like I get you. Like, yes, let's promote the Lord. But at the same time, like you're not like, I can't for the life of me like see any of these rappers like in the scripture, like trying to figure out like, man, let me see if I can find some bars in here. Like, I don't see them doing that, bro. Like, I'm like, leave these people alone. Like,
they might be. There probably are some out here who do that.
But I'm saying like, I feel like they create art from their heart. So like whatever's in, I believe they're studying the Bible. If they're true followers of Jesus, I believe they're studying the Bible. I believe that they're trying to add some Christian stuff into their music. They're trying to add the Bible. They're trying to add Jesus and some of the principles that he taught in their music. But that's because that's in them.
Yes.
Not because they're trying to force it in. And I feel like you can feel the difference between people who are trying to force in Jesus in their music because they want to sound like theologians while they rap.
And that's the thing. Don't go to artists for theology. Go to theologians
for theology.
Go to artists for art. But the problem is, and I read this in the book I'm reading that's really cool. It said Christian is a great noun and a terrible adjective. Right? So am I a Christian plumber? Like, is my plumbing business going to heaven or am I going to heaven?
Come on.
Right? Like, putting Christian on something, because it's not what it was meant for.
Only humans can be Christian.
I'm going to heaven. I'm not my business, not my career, not my music's not going to heaven. I'm going to heaven.
Yes.
So that's always. I'm done with the whole like, oh, you got to be a Christian rap. Now, the thing is, there were rappers that preached. Like KB's preached multiple times. He's really good at it. I've seen Lecrae preach a lot. Triple E was a preacher. He has his own church.
He was like the lead pastor.
So nothing wrong with that.
No.
But to force every single rapper who's a Christian to be like explicitly Christian. I think is wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not their platform. That's not it. That may not be their story.
Well, here's the thing, right? And I can think of too many people in my head right now when I'm saying this. I'm not going to mention any names. But there is this idea that your rapping career had to be your ministry.
Bro.
What?
That's
I had the
nonsense.
biggest argument with some people that
Yeah.
about that. And I'm just like, why can't it just be your vocation?
this is what I do to make money. This is
Like-
what I do to like the gift God gave me. This is funny because I felt like it was only in this platform
Yeah.
where people did that, and like, or only in like entertainment platforms where people did
Yes.
this. Because if for me being a photographer, no one's gonna come up to me and be like, man, like when you send out your photos to your clients when they're done, do you like put Jesus or scriptures on the back? And it's like,
You better send them a Bible with their pictures.
it's like, you know, with highlighted scriptures.
Yeah.
It's like we only do this for entertainment, and I think one of the reasons is because the explicitly Christians wish they had that platform, and if they had it, this is how they would do it. Which I don't think that's wrong,
Bro,
but that's not your
thing.
platform.
Funniest thing in the interview that Andy did, the full interview, he was like, I don't really understand people that criticize music. He's like, just go make a song. If you don't think mine's good, you go make a song. See how easy it is.
Bro.
Like if you have an issue with my song's not Christian enough, then you make a
Then
Christian
you make
enough
it-
song. It's probably gonna be trash.
And I think that sentiment goes through everything.
Everything.
If you think
Oh,
it's
I could preach, but okay, well then get up here and preach.
do it.
Yeah.
Go get your own platform. Go.
Yeah.
And it's like first of all, I don't criticize anyone who's not like close to me. Like I feel like that's pointless. You're just being petty and you're being mean. Like even if I said something wrong and you don't know me, you can't really, whatever you say doesn't hit the same way. So if you told me, hey bro, in your preaching you said this, and like you could have did this better. Okay, cool. I'm gonna respect that. But if you're someone I don't know and you come, all I'm thinking is, first of all, did you miss the whole sermon? Because you're gonna find this one thing that I did wrong, and then you want to come talk to me afterwards. Like, bro, miss me.
Yeah,
So
you don't know me like that.
you don't know me
first
like
of
that.
all.
Like, let's like get off. So anytime someone's like, "Oh yeah, I can do better," like my mindset tells me go do better. And if you're not gonna go do better, shut up. Like just don't talk to me. Don't say anything. My mom used to say, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say nothing at all.
Keep moving. Don't
Like,
hit no dislike.
There's no
Go somewhere.
like why?
If it's not for you, this is my thing with music, especially. And then I'm talking to me, because you know how I am
Yeah.
with music. I'm a snob, especially with worship music. If I don't like it, I just stop listening to it.
Yeah.
I don't need to. This is horrible.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go to the artist's Instagram
And
and
try to
give
tell
him
him
comments
what's-
like, "Listen, your music is terrible. I want you to know.
Hey bro, man, have you thought about this? Or
You need to change this and this." No, I'm just gonna.
bro,
not-
even I used to rock tough with Eshawn Burgundy.
Oh, yeah.
Like that was my dude. And then he went Hebrew Israelite, and then I'm like, I still think that he makes good quality music. I just don't agree with the message that he's preaching anymore. So I didn't go to him and be like, hey bro, man, you know, you lost your faith.
A lot of people did.
I know.
A lot.
First of all,
people
I'm
did.
like, what do you do for like in your life? Do you have time to like write out paragraphs trying to bring
My
someone
thing
back
is-
to the faith online?
Yeah, my thing is, and we've said this too many times. We're gonna say it too many more times. Like, unless you know Eshawn Burgundy personally, you're not in a position to speak to him, speak to his life. You pray for him, and you pray that he has people in his life that are close to him that can say, "Hey, bro, you're off."
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
But if you don't like it, you have an issue with it,
Stop
unfollow
listening.
him and go do something else.
Go live your life,
Go-
man.
yes.
Like,
It's
just
not
be
affecting you.
Yeah, and that's my thing. I don't like that. It's like it's not proactive. Like you're just. I don't even know what you're doing. Like, what do you hope to get out of that conversation? Him to be like, yeah, I'm gonna change my life around, man. Praise
Man,
Jesus.
think
Thank you.
this one stranger left me a comment,
changed my
changed
whole
my
life.
life.
Don't be the stranger.
Yeah,
Don't be the stranger.
but yeah, Christians, we got to stop going to artists for
For
theology.
theology.
Right? Like,
You wouldn't do that with anything else in your life.
if you're mad at a particular Christian rapper for not being on point theologically or not saying Jesus enough, like that's your fault. You should be going to preachers or pastors or
Yes.
theologians if you're trying to look for theology. Like, well, you got to say more stuff and blah blah blah. Like, this is ridiculous. Yeah, and so
it's not the platform.
let me play this part of the interview
Oh,
because he says something at the beginning that like really speaks to me
okay.
about being a Christian.
Ruslan.
I was raised on the same stuff, hip hop, right? And then coming into the faith a bit later on in life, I feel like it allowed me to maintain some degree of connection to art and culture, right? And not just be like completely submersed in Christian culture.
Sure.
Talk a little bit about that and some of the pros of maybe coming to faith in your late teens, early 20s versus, you know, folks that like don't really know anything about music or art and they're so immersed in just straight Christian culture.
Yeah, well, my mom was always a Christian from as far as I can remember back. So she would try to take me to like youth groups and things like that as a kid. And most of the time I just didn't like them, didn't want to be there. I was really into hip hop, and that obviously like wasn't acceptable, or like a lot of the kids there didn't like that stuff. So I never really fit in very much there. But like later on, like you're saying, in my late teens, I had like a real experience where I felt like I had established my own connection with my own relationship with God. And then I started to find this community of people that cared about Jesus and they cared about making cool art. And that was like such a rare thing for me to find because I think being a Christian and being young, it can be very lonely, you know, because you can feel like I don't have anybody who really understands me or likes sneakers or likes, you know, and so you walk into a church or a place. It's much different now, I think.
Yes, much different.
It's much different now, but that's a culture that's been created over the last 15 years, you know what I'm saying? 20 years or however long.
Yeah.
So yeah, I also never really wanted to be a Christian artist. I remember, and that's mostly how people see me for the most part. And that's like a interesting title that I've tried to like weave through, navigate through my whole career, especially as I've changed as a man. But I never wanted to be a Christian artist. I remember talking to like Alex Medina early on when we were going to college, and I was like, yo, I don't really want to be in this world. I want to make my music, do things like the way I want to do them, and like go the backdoor route around introducing people to faith or the ideas of faith. And I remember I just got a lot of slander for that because at that point, like, it was people was not with it. They were like, "Nah, bro," you know.
Yeah.
I remember, I was like challenged to delete every song on my.
So he says a couple things. So he talks about being lonely as a Christian, and I actually want to go back to something that Ruslan said about not growing up in church.
Oh man,
and still having a connection to culture. I hate to say worldly culture, but for the sake of understanding, worldly culture, right? Versus someone like me who grew up in church.
Yeah.
So like church culture is pretty much
that's the
all
lens.
I knew for a long time. Like, I mean, I do understand hip hop culture and stuff like that outside of church, but it is interesting that we have this church culture that is very like closed and specific, and if you don't grow up in it and you come in like outside and you're just like, why do you guys do things this way? Why do you see? We talked about a little bit in churchy, but it's just like there's just this way of thinking that, and there's these like words and buzzwords and lingo that you have to know, and if you don't, it's very difficult to fit in.
Yeah.
But he said something about that connection. I think, how am I going to say this? Like, you got to combine making our own culture in church, different from the church culture that we have, I think, because it's not great.
Right.
With, you got to combine that with still understanding the world's culture, because you got to be able to speak into it and go talk to people.
Absolutely. Yeah, because the thing that you will miss is like you create your own world, which is your church world, and then when you bring people in there, the people who've already like know the world will look at this person like, what the heck? Like you're not supposed to be here.
Yeah,
and it's like, basically. No, but they are supposed to be here. Yeah. Like we're supposed to be the most welcome environment. I'm reading this book. I just finished it yesterday. It's called Messy Grace by Caleb something Bacher. But the book is talking about how like the church has like shunned the LGBT community completely to where like they don't even feel safe coming to church at all. And that's because of like the culture that we don't want to go investigate or like be a part of because we have our own. So as church culture, what one thing would say, it's like, okay, cool. We have our own sets of rules. We do life like this, and this is how it's going to be. And then the LGBTQ community is out there, and it's like, how do we address them? How do we address that culture? Mm-hmm. And I think the same thing happened in hip hop culture. The church was afraid of it. Like the church was terrified of hip hop culture.
The church was hip hopophobic, like for sure.
And it was like, we don't want this. And part of like this messes me up. But I think the church is always like, we don't want them to contaminate us, which then makes me think about how Pharisaic we are. Oof. Because the Pharisees didn't want unclean people to come. Yeah. And they were like, I don't want you around me,
and
because
Jesus
you're
going out touching unclean people.
Bro, like it changed. So the culture is no longer what we do in these four walls. The culture is like, how do we get out there and engage in their community, in their world? How do we become connected to them instead of like getting people to come to church? How about we get the church to go to them, which we were called to do in the first place?
Yeah, I think just thinking about this, one of the problems with church culture is that we're too busy trying to be countercultural.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So the world does it this way,
so we're going to do
the
this.
opposite.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be other culture. Because counterculture is only attractive to a certain group of people.
Absolutely.
Any counterculture. Look at throughout history. An other culture should be like an alternative. Like, hey, there's these things happening, but this is something different.
Right.
Why don't you come check this out? It should be more inviting. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
It should be interesting.
Because I always found it weird. Growing up in church, it's not weird to you.
Right.
But when I was growing up in church, we wouldn't do Halloween. And we'd have a harvest
party
or a
harvest festival.
And you would be like, hey guys, would you want to come to a harvest festival? And the kids are like,
what the heck is that?
What's a harvest? And then
the funniest thing, I don't know about your church, but like, you still wear costumes. You still get candy. We did trunk or treats.
Everything was the same.
We just not calling Halloween. You still got kids showing up as zombies and werewolves and vampires and stuff.
The mask with the red water in it that you can squeeze. Like that, it was all the same. But what we created was a counterculture. It was like
counterculture.
We're gonna change this to this. So now it's Jesus friendly. And it's like, why didn't you just go trick or treating with your friends?
Yeah.
And I remember going and like inviting my kids. I remember inviting my friends. I remember one of my friends was like, "You guys like farm on Halloween?" And
we gotta go harvest.
And you know what's funny though? It didn't even click to me. Like as a kid, I'm like, no, we just get candy. And I was like, he was like, well, what do you call it? A harvest fest? Like, what are you harvesting? And I'm like, oh, that's what that means.
Yo, we're harvesting souls for Jesus.
Yeah, man. And I remember like growing up, and this is even now. Like I would want my children to grow up to be like followers of Jesus, and if they choose to follow Jesus, great. I wouldn't tell them not to go trick or treating with their friends, because that would be a part of them going into that culture to say, okay, cool. Like I'm still going to be a Christian here, and I'm going to show you that I can rock with y'all and still be a follower of Jesus at the same time.
Yeah, it's something interesting as far as being connected to the culture. Like, I'm really, this is something I'm just thinking about right now. Like
in real time, ladies and gentlemen.
In real time. So like my parents, rightly so, they were very strict when it came to like what music we listened to growing up, what movies we watch, all that stuff, which I'm totally for. But I think at some point, like, I mean, I had to go behind their back, sorry, mom and dad, and listen to like rap music.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
yeah, me too.
And then they just kind of figured out this is what he's doing. And by then it was like, well, I'm already listening to it. But I think with my kids, I'm kind of thinking like at a certain age, probably like, I don't know when, but maybe like high school, like start like, hey, let's listen to like what's going on
together in
the culture and together, and let's talk about it.
Come
like
on.
You still got to be up on what they're saying. I'm not going to enjoy this music, I'm sure. I can't even enjoy what's happening right now.
Even, I was about to say,
all this singy rap right now. I can't do the singy rap, man. Rap,
bro. It's music, and it's art, and it's cool.
Like everybody's auto-tuned, they behind. Just rap.
Look, we just going back. T-Pain's back, so it's cool.
Anyway,
but T-Pain can rap.
Yeah. My point is like, I think I want to like teach my kids to still have a connection with the culture, so that they can speak into it and speak to people who are in it. Yeah. And be like, hey, this is cool. Like, let me show you this. Talk about Jesus. Blah blah blah. So,
well, because I feel like if you do that, it gives your child the ability to, understand what they're listening to, and then make their own decision, like what's good music to them in their head. And then when they won't be afraid to invite their friends into conversations about Christian music. So it's like, it's one thing to listen to the culture, which is, in my youth group, I'm experiencing this right now. I have no idea who these artists are. I don't even know their names. So they're
something. Everybody's little.
They're like, listen to this guy, listen to this guy, listen to this guy. And I'm like, what the? Like, oh my, am I that far removed? Like,
it happens quick.
I was like, y'all know who J. Cole is? It's like, J. Cole. I'm like, that dude is
whole world.
Like, come on, y'all.
But he's 36.
I know. Super old. We're all
I listened to like half of Drake's album.
Yeah, cool. they still rock with Drake.
Yeah, which is, thank God.
Like, it's a little bit. But so they were showing me music, and I remember I was feeling like, dude, I want to, like, there's dope art out there that kind of sounds like this. So I introduced him to like Aha.
Oh, okay.
Aha Gazelle. And one of my students was like, this is Christian? And I was like, well,
he's a Christian.
He's a Christian. The music is this is the music he makes.
Yeah.
And it was, we would listen to the whole Spin album. I mean, the whole, Spin.
Yeah.
We listened to the whole album, like, on the way. And then I remember just, like, he got out the car and he was like, bro, send me the link. And I'm like, that's crazy. All right, for sure, bro. So I sent it to him, and he's like, oh, this song is hard. He listens to the whole album again. But, like, he's a hip-hop head. Like, he's like, he listens to lyrics. He listens to, like, cadence. He listens to production. Like. He hears, like, all the little stuff in the background. He's like, bro, I love the sirens in this song. I'm like, sirens? I didn't hear no sirens in this song. But, like, he was, like, really interested. But I think it was because I took out time to listen to his music first. And then he was like, okay, cool, I'll listen to yours, too. So I think that's the type of things we got to start doing if we want to reach the culture without being, like, explicitly Christian.
I love that. Yeah, I think we've got to be, we got to stop being so weird about stuff. Like you said, I think there's this huge, like, and the intentions are good, but, like, we got to keep everybody pure. Yeah. I don't want anything entering my ears. Like, which I think there's truth to that if you're not mature.
True.
Right? If you're like, Bizzle actually has this line, be careful what you're putting in your ears now. Hard to hear the truth when a lie is told real loud. Ooh. Right? So, like, if I don't know what the truth is,
right,
and I'm hearing stuff, it's going to be messing me up.
Yeah.
But if I already know the truth, then I can tell that's not, I don't have to worry about that.
Mm-hmm. Like, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like we do, like, as adults, we do that all the time.
Right.
So we'll hear something like, that's just not true.
That don't line up.
That don't line up with the word of God at all. Or it's like, oh, they got close. Yeah. And that's the time, those are the times when I'm like,
like Drake's song, they don't say that in the Bible. Yeah. Just like, you don't
read that thing.
But yeah, man. So that's super funny.
Yeah.
But I guess we should take a break.
Yeah, let's take a break and then we'll come back and knock out the rest of this.
All right, we'll
Stay
be
tuned,
back, guys. Hey guys, what's up? This is an ad, so bear with us. Don't skip it. Guys, we have a Patreon. We've been talking about it for a long time. We would love some more of your support. Okay, if you get anything out of this podcast, any gems, any like good information, knowledge, you feel uplifted and encouraged, please think about supporting us on Patreon. Become one of our patrons, man. We want to expand this thing, make this even better than it is right now. We have, done a lot of renovations out of our own pocket. So guys, like, please think about becoming a patron.
Yeah, because your support goes a long way. It'll help us continue to upgrade our cameras, our computers, our everything that we do here. But we literally can't do it without you. So if you feel led to, please support us through this platform and continue to support us as we continue to grow and give you better content.
Thanks, guys. Love you.
See ya.
Rolling, Jose? All right.
Yes.
We are back from our extremely long break. It was about a minute. Okay, so I want to play this clip from the interview. If you're a Christian, like, don't get offended. Listen to what he says.
They already got offended, Jeff.
And think about what he said. Okay, here we go.
And so I think that's I've never enjoyed, for example, like hate might be a strong word, but like I really dislike worship music. I feel weird being around overly churchy Christian people. It just like doesn't feel real. It's weird to me. So I've never had like a strong affinity to like finding part of my identity in like church culture. It's always been in like hip hop and music and fashion and basketball and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's been a weird emergence. I talked about this today with my wife. I was like, man, we were going through the airport, and I saw a kid with a shirt that said "Virginity Rocks" on it, and I was like, he must be wearing that shirt ironically. And she's like, I don't think he's wearing it ironically. I think he's dead serious. And I was like, man, that's crazy. And I said, I wonder if that kid's a fan of my music. And I said, you know what's funny? There's some Christians who like don't rock with me at all because I'm not Christian enough. And then there's a lot of people who are, not Christians. They're like, oh, you're a Christian, dude. I'm not gonna rock with your music. So
funny thing is, I had a kid in my class probably like 2 years ago that would wear Virginity Rocks stuff, and he was not Christian. I actually like asked him, like, of it, or I think honestly, even though Andy said that kid was wearing it like on serious, I think it was like an ironic type of brand, like it was just meant to be funny,
right?
But yeah, man, I went in the comments of the video.
Why do you do this?
Because it's hilarious. I have to know what people are saying. And I really look for like the super churchy people,
which is always funny to me. Like, first of all, this is Ruslan's YouTube page, who is, to me, he's not explicitly Christian. Like,
he does a really good job of like towing the line. 'Cause I've listened to a lot of his stuff, and he can be very explicitly Christian sometimes, but he knows how to talk to people who aren't Christian.
And I'm always thinking, like, how did you get to this page? Like, for the people who are like overly churchy, which I love the fact that he said that, because we all know those people who just be doing too much. Like,
man, speaking, here's one right here on this. I took a screenshot of this comment.
Oh my
God. It is pure comedy to me. He says, first of all, I don't know if this was his autocorrect was messing up, but he said, the word says make a joyful noise. And he meant joyful noise. The heart of the music must always be rooted in Christ. That doesn't mean that every word and verse must be Jesus-based. Okay, I'm with that. We must be careful about what's driving our heart, because believers/babes in Christ and non-believers are watching. What you put in the world with the art ultimately is planting seeds to the next generation. And he's like, I liked Andy's music in the past, but like these statements really just don't line up with the Bible and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, well, listen, calm down.
Oh, my God. Sir.
So I would like to ask that person.
Are you an usher in the church? Oh.
Don't be hating on ushers, man. I'm an ex-usher.
You are.
So does every single thing that he does, is everything he does rooted in Christ in your day job?
And you know the answer.
Like, no.
Bro.
Every single decision you make in your day job, is it rooted in Christ?
I mean, you talk about these dudes make hundreds of songs, like in their or 1,000 songs in their career, hundreds of songs for an album. Like, bro, what? What do you? It's so hard to like. I don't understand how you get to the point where you think you have like the monopoly or the know all be all of how an industry that you're not even in to be like the one that's to dictate how much Jesus needs to be in it.
Yeah, I mean, this is my biggest thing that I've always said to people. How can you listen to Lecrae's music and Andy's music especially and hear anything unbiblical? Like, they never say, it's not like they're out here like, yeah, I just sleeping with some hoes and stuff. No. And I was out here like, they never are ever glorifying anything of that.
No, never.
So they may make a song that's not about Jesus. I know Andy has a song about his friend like being a bad friend or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Doesn't mention God, doesn't mention Jesus. It's not unbiblical.
Not at all.
You just got to make a joyful noise.
You know what's even funnier than that? There's 2 books in the Bible that don't mention Jesus or God. And I'm like, how? Oh, you ain't said nothing about
that.
Come
on, Esther.
Like, come on, like get your like. I get to the point where I'm like, I'm not very hopeful in like our Christian culture, which is a good thing. I think I need it. I think I need it to
the Christian counterculture.
Yes, it needs to like drop. Like,
it needs to go
to where like people should feel like, oh man, I'm coming to this church, I'm coming to this place, I'm coming to this concert. That I enjoy the entertainment of it. If I find Jesus here, cool.
Yeah.
But like, don't come to me.
function. I don't think that was the purpose, though.
No,
Like,
yeah.
if I'm going to a worship concert,
But
like
that's
we
different.
are going to
Exactly.
tomorrow, shout out to Maverick City.
Shout out.
Okay, hopefully we get everything goes smoothly. We're gonna be there. Like, that is where I'd expect to hear, because that's them doing ministry,
Exactly.
right?
That is their
But
vocation.
if Andy, and he talks about in the full interview, like he intentionally performs
At bars,
at not
at
churches,
clubs,
like
yes.
clubs, House of Blues, like because, and he's like, this is just music from somebody who is a believer,
Yes.
but like I'm just making music that anybody can feel invited in, and then you can go down the rabbit hole and you eventually, oh, this guy's a Christian,
Right. You'll
Oh, he
find all
said
that
this.
stuff.
Oh, he said that. Oh, he loves his wife. Oh, he's committed to her. Oh, he's like, he invests in his church. Like,
All that stuff.
Yeah.
I remember him. I remember Andy. I don't know if it was in a song or an interview. I think it was in a song where he like talks about like there was a person in the hospital that like reached out to him and was like, man, your music gives me life. And the person, like, he was like, I don't know if they're a Christian or not, but like, we didn't talk about Jesus. We didn't like go into like, but like they were impacted by my music. And my music is, my gift is like given to me by God, and I understand that. I think that is where like Jesus does his work. I don't think that we're the ones to put so much Jesus into something to where it like exuberates like through like, and they're like, oh man, there's just so much Jesus I can't handle. I'm gonna say yes. Like that's not the intent. Though the intent is I just do what the Lord's given me a gifting to do.
yeah,
Whatever that is.
and that might work for some people. I mean, I know there are. The funny thing is, a lot of the Christian rappers who are like, I'm a Christian rapper, like they're very like serious about it. Like they say like, no, I listened to something that was just explicitly Christian and it convinced me. Praise God.
Hallelujah.
I think, again, that's why I keep saying both sides are needed. Like,
Some
like,
people-
don't be bashing the other
The
side.
side.
Neither side.
Right. That's
Right? The rappers who are Christians, don't be over here like, oh, you guys are just way too Christian.
Way too
and
churchy.
way too churchy. Like, relax. Now, there is a problem being too churchy.
But there's also a problem being too. There's also a problem with being too cultural. I guess that would be a thing.
Yeah.
So-
I think it's a balance because there is some truth to that guy's comment as far as like in my heart,
Yeah, that has to
my
be right.
motives got to be right, right? If I'm doing music just to get famous or to get like rich or whatever,
Yeah,
my motives may not be pure.
that's not right.
Right? If I'm trying to be the best artist, and this is one of our points here, Christians making art. Okay, so I think I was talking to my wife about this. She didn't agree with me,
Hey,
but it's totally fine. You can not agree with me, guys, on the podcast, but I believe, looking at Galatians 3:23, like whatever you do, do it as if you work for the Lord.
oh yeah,
Right? And then Paul says a verse this morning. I saw my verse of the day. It's like whatever is, it lists all these really good things. And one of them is whenever is excellent, think about
About
these
that, yeah.
things. I think Christians have an obligation to God to make excellent anything.
Yeah, whatever you
Art,
put your hands
business,
to, yeah,
whatever you do.
yeah,
If you are a plumber, if you are a janitor, if you are a photographer, if you're a teacher, if you're a stay-at-home parent, if you're an IT specialist,
go.
you should be the best. Maybe not the best in your field.
Yeah, but you should
right?
strive.
But
to,
you should strive to be excellent. You should strive to make great art or business or photography or whatever it is.
You can't be lazy.
Nah.
Like you can't be slothful because number one, God has given you a gift and a talent. If you remember the parable of the talents, like God has given you something great that you can develop.
Yes.
If you choose to just not use it and be like, you know what, I'm gonna do the bare minimum, God's gonna judge you with that.
So I preached about this on Friday. We have this idea that I only do that if I'm doing ministry.
Oh.
Okay, we have this idea. I only have to do that if I'm working for God or the church or I'm doing something directly for the church.
Yep.
Right? And we have this term like full-time ministry. Like, oh, you're lucky you're in full-time ministry, man. I got to go work a 9 to 5. So
Come on. I already know.
everybody's in full-time ministry.
Every believer.
We are all in full-time ministry.
like you can turn your Christianity off or what?
yeah, like you don't get to clock out. You're always on the clock for God. You work for
Yeah.
God no matter what you do. You don't
Yeah.
have to work for a church or be a pastor or worship leader or whatever. Because, yeah, like we have this idea of only if you work for God, if you have to be a pastor or whatever. Okay, so you're telling me that less than 1% of the population actually works for God. So unless I'm doing something overtly churchy,
Yeah.
I don't work for God. So that means I'm off the hook.
Not true.
No.
Not true.
Right? And I preached in my sermon, Ephesians 4:11-13. It lists so he gave some apostles,
Oh, yeah.
prophets, evangelists, preachers, and teachers, right? And a lot of people think that those 5 things are ministry. Like those are the 5 ministries or the 5-fold ministry. That's not what the verse actually says. It says he gave them those 5 groups of people to equip the saints to do the work of ministry. So they're supposed to get the congregation to do ministry.
They're just like the teacher.
They're not the ones doing. They're doing ministry, but they're not
ministry
limited
is
ministry.
in the church.
They're getting you guys to go do ministry, and then even the word ministry just means to serve. It comes from the Greek word that we get deacon from, diakonos, and the verb is like diakonias or something like that, which simply just means to serve. You can do that anywhere,
no matter what job you're at.
Again, so that's the point. Like you're always, whatever you do, you work for God.
Yeah.
So you have an obligation to work as hard as you can and do the best that you can.
Yeah.
Right. And by doing that, think of how many non-followers of Jesus you can attract.
Yeah.
If I have my own business, if I have my own photography business like you, I'm gonna have a very fair, ethical, moral business.
Yes.
I'm not gonna cheat anybody out. I'm gonna do great work. I'm gonna take great pictures and edit well and timely and be professional. And I'm gonna have fair prices. And people are gonna go, man, why are you like this?
And I'm gonna be friendly when we meet.
Exactly.
Like when we go out,
and
I'm gonna.
Man, you're like, why are you like? You're so different. Oh, well, I follow Jesus.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is crazy because I remember like I've done like a few weddings already, but like even at those weddings where, I know the bride and groom. That's pretty much the bridegroom and maybe the wedding planner. That's it. But then I'll do a wedding. At the wedding, I'll meet like the whole family, and then you get people who are like, "Oh, come meet this person. Oh, come." I remember one time one lady was like, "Come talk to my son. Like he's not doing good." And I'm like, "Why are you asking me to talk to your son? I don't even know this dude." But like she just saw something different in me. She was like, "You're a positive influence. Like you're a male figure." And and at the moment, I didn't think that. I'm like, "Sure, whatever. I'll talk to him. Like, knock it off. Don't be a knucklehead." But other than that, I can't do anything for you because I don't know this kid.
Yeah.
But like, I think that what she saw was there's something different about this guy.
Yes.
Come talk to my son so he can have whatever different you have.
Yes. And I think every Christian has the opportunity to do that wherever you work.
Wherever you work.
We got to get this mindset out of our mind. Like I only work for God once, maybe twice a week for a set period of time, and it's at church.
Come on.
Like,
Which is the worst time to actually do ministry.
I mean, yes, because everybody there is already saved most of the time, right?
Yeah, you're not reaching nobody outside that.
Yeah.
thing.
So going back to Andy, what he was saying, like, or any artist, especially talking about artists, right? Like, make good art.
Come on.
It doesn't have to be
explicitly
Christian. Just make sure you make good art. Make good music. Don't make it trash.
Don't think that somebody's gonna rock with your music because you say
just because you say Jesus does not mean it's good. I gotta say, I'm sorry. And again, if I don't like it, I'm gonna move on to something else. Jeez. But just because you say Jesus doesn't mean it's
doesn't
good.
make it good.
Not all worship music is good. And talking about what Andy said about worship music, when I first heard it, I was like, "Come on, bro." And
but
then
if you get it from his perspective, though,
well, bro, then I was listening to some worship music with my wife, and I didn't like most of it. And I realized, like, I don't like most worship music.
You only like Maverick City?
Hillsong United, Pat Barrett. I love Pat Barrett.
Yeah, I love Pat Barrett.
There's a bunch of other people, but, like, there's a lot that I don't. If it's super radio, super K-lovey.
Right. Like when they took Maverick City song and put it on the radio. Oh, and
there's just, I realized, I was talking to my wife about this. She didn't agree with me again, but I was just like, there's a Christian music sound that you have to do to get on the radio. Yeah. And I feel like everybody right now, and everyone in every genre of music is guilty of this because you're trying to make money.
Right, exactly.
So it ends up getting this like particular sound. There's like literally a Christian pop sound.
Oh, for sure.
Where you have to have this certain type of cadence and drums and you know, synthesizer
snare,
instruments, and you say certain things and you sing a certain way.
Oh, it's cringy.
Oh my gosh.
It's
There's
so
like this
cringy.
there's this woman sound that it's very breathy. And then there's this guy sound, the way they pronounce their words, the way they sing. And I'm just like, ew, why do you guys all sound the same?
Yeah.
That's why Mav is so dope, because they're just so
They
different.
sound different. And then everyone who sings sounds different. Well, they're like, I don't know. I'm not trying to go on Mav right now because I love them. But like, they are starting to sound very similar to each other. Because they used to be like, okay, you could, Chandler Moore had a completely different sound from Brandon Lake. Now it's like this like merge. Or
Bro, the funny thing is, my wife did not know that Chandler Moore and Dante Bowe were two different people.
No.
She thought they were the same person.
Aww.
And I'm like, no, you can hear their voices. But then it's like, no, they do kind of sound similar.
That was going to be my next point. Like, they sound very similar now.
We were listening to Wait On You, and I'm like, how? Because he harmonized with himself, babe. Like, listen to this is Dante, this is Chandler.
But the thing is, like, there's one part of that says, okay, just because we're together a lot, that means like, okay, we're gonna start sounding the same because we've been singing together for like 4 years. So I get that.
And they definitely have gotten into a groove of like the types of songs that they make. They have a pattern, right? They have a formula almost.
They have like a template.
Yeah, they have a template of what to do. So you can kind of guess how the song's going to go now. Yeah. It's still good. Yeah. I love it.
Don't get me wrong.
But it is still different. And then a lot of people are starting to hop on the train and copy them.
And I think that's what's like, it's getting saturated. That's why it's like,
that's the problem.
Becoming weird. But like what Andy had said about worship music in general, like just like not rocking with it, almost to the point of like hating it. When I heard it, I was like, man, you must not listen to Mav. Like, that's what that was the first thing I thought.
My first thought.
But I think what he could have been saying is like, when you're not raised around this type of music, and it's sometimes not the music itself, it's just like
what they're saying.
Yeah, like things just don't make sense, or how emotional you're becoming. You're just like,
I saw there was a comment on the video, and this girl was like, I completely agree. I feel like in my church, when it's worship time, it's like a crying competition. And like everyone's trying to like out emotion each other and like
out emotion each other.
like which it's hard because he said I don't feel comfortable around overly churchy people. And I think what he meant by that I can kind of understand, because we have like this template of how to worship during like worship time in church. Yeah. And if you're in black church, it looks a certain way. If you're in a not black church, it looks a certain way. Yeah. And it's like this, like the hands up, like
especially when
if it's genuine, that's one thing. But there's times when it's not.
It just gets scary saying stuff like this because you don't want to like.
I agree.
But you can tell when like even the worship leader, the worship team is like trying to invoke emotion
versus it's genuine. You can feel it when they're like really into it and they're just feeling it, and you feed off of it.
Yeah, and it's almost like you see them worshiping God, so then all of a sudden you're just like, oh, I'm worshiping too. That happens to me when I'm even listening to music. So it's like I can hear there's a song 100 billion times.
Oh, So Will I.
Yeah, So Will I. And their version by what's that guy's name? I can't remember his name. But there's a version of this guy, this black dude who's at a camp, and he's singing the song.
You showed me that.
Yeah. And like normally I don't really like that version because the regular version goes hard for me. But like he had a moment when he just got super emotional, and I remember I'm singing the song and I'm just like his emotion just poured into mine, even though this was recorded a long time ago.
I feel you.
But that was real. That was a genuine moment, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So like I truly believe in that. But then there's moments when the worship leader is just like, oh, y'all not worshiping today, or y'all not feeling the presence of the Lord is here right now, and it's like, okay, I hear what you're saying.
Don't boss me around.
Don't
I had this conversation with the high school kids at Flipside, because Jared, who's the youth worship leader there,
he's on the pod,
a friend of the pod. Shout out to Jared, J-Dub. And he not only led worship and did a great job, he preached about worship like right after.
Oh wow,
did a really good job. And so I asked the kids, hey, why do you guys clap at the end of each song?
Ooh, you did
And
not, Jeff.
I did. And it's funny because one of the kids thought I was saying that it's a sin to clap. I'm like, that's not even close to what I was saying. Is that what you heard?
Where's
I'm
that
like,
emoji at when you need
literally.
it?
I was like, what are you talking about? But anyway, I was like, why do you guys do it? And like, oh, well, they do a good job. I enjoyed the and he literally said performance. And I was like, so listen, Jared is a worship leader. What does that mean? He's leading us in worship. That means we're all worshiping. We're not watching him worship and going, oh, look at him worship God. Hey, go ahead, Jared, you can worship God. He's leading us in doing it.
Oh, boy.
So he's just helping us do what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we have to change our mindset about, like, this is not a concert. This is not a performance. It's not entertainment.
Yeah.
He is just leading us in what we're all supposed to be doing.
But I think the difficult thing is when you don't worship regularly, not like at church. Like if your life is not, if you don't want to have a lifestyle of worship,
Which is what he preached about,
then going to worship, it looks like it looks exactly the
And
same.
they're just kind of like sitting there the whole time during the song. Some of them are singing, but they're most just kind of like, this is weird. Okay. Oh, it's over. Okay, cool.
Thank God. When back to Andy, I think that I would be okay if you were like, hey, that was weird.
Right.
I didn't understand.
Yeah,
I don't understand what that was about.
happening here?
I didn't understand the song. I didn't understand what you're talking about. And I think when you get to that type of honesty, that's when you can like peel back the veil of like the explicitly Christian stuff. It's like, okay, worship is not a non-believer thing. There's this video on YouTube that I'm always seeing, and I can't stand seeing it come up. And it says like, I never watched it, but it says non-believer reacts to reckless love. And it's like, I guess it's this guy who like listened to the song and like broke down. First, the whole formula seems weird to me. I'm just like, you recorded yourself listening to this song, and then it got like 1 point something million views, and then you just like reposted it with the non-believers' reaction to this goes viral. And like, I was just like, this is weird to me. But I was just like, if that's like the ticket, like if I just can't see someone listening to a worship song and just getting emotional, not understanding what the song is about.
Okay, so most of the time, yes. Did you hear that story? Do you know who Shawn Mendes is?
Yeah.
So he was listening to Mav. He was I was an atheist, and I was listening to this Mav. You ever heard? He goes, "You heard of Maverick City?" To the people who were interviewing him. I'm like, "Oh no, who's that?" And he's like, "They're just this group." And I was listening to their song, and I just got emotional, and I just like, wow, like God must be real. Like,
really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Which is an endorsement of Mav. He wasn't going to do that listening to Caleb. I'm just saying.
You ain't getting that on the radio.
Nah, big dog.
Yeah, but I think that's.
So,
but
that's an anomaly. That's
exactly.
like that's the exception to the rule. Most non-believers not going to be like, what the heck are they talking about?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And I can get most of that. I totally understand. But what I guess my full argument is. The people who are not followers of Jesus and those who are, we can't be super explicitly Christian hoping that they would like, I don't know, vibe from us the explicit Christianness. So we can't just be like, okay, we're wearing our Jesus t-shirts, we're writing scriptures on our shoes, and like, oh, we're the only Bible that ever read type, and like we got our everything Jesus out. That doesn't get a person to follow Jesus.
Right.
I think that's where I'm like really uncomfortable when people think like that's the thing that's going to get people to follow Christ. Like,
yeah,
that's not gonna work.
And don't get me wrong, I have my shirts that say Jesus stuff on it, or hoodies, and I enjoy wearing it. But my motive of wearing it isn't like this about to save some people today.
Come on,
I'm about to be so overtly Christian, but I'll wear it, number one, because I like it.
Exactly.
Number two, I get a question, hey, what does that mean? Or what is that from my students or coworkers or whatever?
I remember your HGA. Your HGA mask.
Just saying HGA, like, hey, what is HGA? I got so many. The thing I like about it is that it's very subtle. Yeah. It wasn't like
overtly Christian
crosses everywhere. Like John 3:16.
I feel like they wouldn't have asked.
Right.
They would have been like,
okay, whatever.
Okay.
I remember we were at the mattress store and I had it, and the lady showed me mattress. What is HGA? And I told her, oh, it means His glory alone. It's a Christian brand. She was like, oh, interesting. I would have never thought that, huh?
Which is
it sparked so many conversations.
Yeah. So I think in that
which
regard,
is good art. I
Exactly.
think good art should do that. It doesn't need
have to say anything about Jesus because
Yes.
it looks cool, because it looks dope, because it's appealing, because it was done as unto the Lord. Then people will ask the question, "What is that?"
What is that? Yeah. And I think Andy's music, especially his most latest stuff, just it's objectively good, regardless if you're a follower of Jesus or not, right? So then it makes you go, "Yo, like this is dope. What's up with this guy?"
Man, I can't
Right? He
wait.
didn't cuss. He didn't talk about women. He was just talking about some cool stuff, and he has a dope way of doing it. So, yeah, man, I just think that if you're gonna be explicitly Christian, I have our last little point here I want to point out is like, don't be too worried about correcting people to connect with people.
Yeah.
Again, if you're the whole like Christian fill in the blank, I am a Christian, whatever, cool, be that, but don't be so judgy and aggressive towards people who are followers of Jesus, but are trying to do it the other way.
Yeah.
Who are gonna be more, subtle about their Christianity, to be able to go reach people. Like,
I just feel you can go further. I feel
man.
I feel like subtlety is what gets you further, which is crazy. Even I know we're gonna wrap up soon, but I was just thinking about like the ministry of Jesus and how like he could have been overtly. I mean, he's God, so he's already like by default overtly.
And he's operating in a environment that was religious.
Exactly.
Right.
But what he did was he could have come out and just been like, all right, cool, I'm the dude, I'm the guy. Like he could have had his like, I am the savior of the world. But he would literally tell people, don't tell anybody what you saw here, or don't tell anybody what I did for you. Go do this, but don't do this. And I believe he was doing it to be subtle, so that like he could reach further. Because if people had known what he could do, they'd have been like, bro, come to the synagogue every day.
Think about this. The only time he was countercultural was to counter the Pharisees' culture, was to counter super churchy culture.
Oh,
that is the only time he was countercultural. That's crazy.
That's crazy. Mind blown. Which is funny because here we are again. Like we become pharisaical, which I'll never forget. You literally like blew my mind.
We're all
like,
Pharisees.
We're all
if
Pharisees.
we're not careful, we can be Pharisees. Yeah, man.
Cool.
But yeah, man. I recommend guys looking up this interview, the full interview, especially between Ruslan and Mineo.
Super good.
Great podcast. Yo, our next episode, we are going to talk about another podcast, The Rise and Fall of Mars Hill. If you have not listened, I'm on the last episode. I'm on episode 8.
Oh yeah, I finished that thing.
If you have not listened to this, between now and our next episode,
Get on it.
listen to The Rise and Fall of Mars Hill.
Just don't stop listening.
Don't stop.
Just
Listen to it so you can be ready for our next episode, because we about to go in. There is
spoiler alerts too.
There is so many implications. Oh my
Oh my
gosh,
God.
man. Every believer, every follower of Jesus needs to listen to this. If you're a
telling
part of a church, which you should be, if you're a pastor, if you're a church,
Especially
anything.
If you're a church plant,
yes,
you need to see.
listen
You
to
need
this
listen.
podcast. So we're gonna talk about that in our next episode. I cannot wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
I was excited about it before this episode.
Bro, I was like,
Yeah, this
we
was gonna
almost
be cool, but
we almost did prematurely. And
yeah,
like,
I
let's
was
go.
like, let's just do my. We're gonna do it next week or next episode. So, thank you guys for listening. Have an excellent rest of your week, and we will see y'all on the next one.
Peace.